Pericles, Prince of Tyre, Chapter 5.
Hello, and welcome to the commentary track for episode 5 of Pericles, Prince of Tyre, produced by Pendant Productions. I am Jeff Robinson, the co-director of Pericles, Prince of Tyre, and joining me are Adam Blanford, my fellow co-director. Adam, great to have you.
Thank you for having me here. Great to be here.
And we are also joined by Morgan Z. Sowell, our esteemed dramaturge for this production. Morgan, great to have you as well.
Pleasure to be here, gentlemen.
So, final chapter, chapter 5 of 5, Pericles, Prince of Tyre, each of the 5 acts of the play fitting neatly into one episode. And we're kicking off here with Theo Holt-Bailey as Gower, our narrator, as usual. Of course, doing a fantastic job setting the scene. And kind of striking an upbeat tone as we talk about Marina escaping the brothel and a glorious reunion to come in just a few minutes here. So Morgan, what as you kind of edited this episode for audio production, what kind of struck your mind as you put together this episode?
Well, I would definitely thank William Shakespeare for keeping in mind what a reasonable podcast length is for each of his acts. Yes, for this one. Pericles is one of the shorter plays he ever wrote, and it fits perfectly into a episode per act structure.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, it does. And Adam, as you listen to this episode, anything in particular that struck you between all the scenes and such?
I was just, as always, amazed at your prowess at putting everything together and just creating a very seamless experience for the listener. You've got such a great approach to putting everything together that I want to be you when I grow up.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. So now we have entered the ship where Pericles is to be found, and lots of characters kind of coming in left and right. I found myself having to use quite a few footsteps in these various scenes. Adam, I don't know about you, but that's something I always struggle with when directing an episode, is getting the right amount of footsteps, the right surface, whether they're walking on wood or concrete and such. Always one of those nitpicky things that I find myself tweaking over and over and over again.
In general, I think 4 footsteps really does it. It's just really trying to gauge whether or not it's a continuous movement or just somebody trying to go from point A to point B. Once you've got that figured out, I think you're in good shape. But in general, I have a rule of 4, or multiples of 4, and then that's it.
And there we hear Russell Gold as Pericles, very briefly moaning in the background there. I thought he did that very well. I think Morgan, your script just says soft moan here in parentheses, so give me a couple good solid takes for that. But
he's there, but he doesn't say anything, which is very difficult for audio. For a good chunk of time, he's just there.
Exactly. Yep. They pull back the curtain, and he's just kind of lying there in bed, moaning to himself. But yeah, I found myself, as I edited this particular episode, being able to really visualize the characters in my head, more so than usual. Not quite sure why, but it really helped to kind of piece the scene together, keeping track of the various folks coming in and out of the scene and such. And Kirsty Wolven as Helicanus, playing a major part in this episode, kind of trying to explain her boss, so to speak, his mental state to all the visitors coming and going, and explain that he is not really in a position to take visitors right now, but nonetheless.
And yet they keep coming in.
Exactly. Yeah. Won't leave the guy alone. But it all turns out great.
I am prevented.
Oh, here is the lady that I sent for.
My lord.
Welcome, fair one. Is not a goodly presence.
She's a gallant lady.
Here you hear the technique that we've both, Adam and I, have used often throughout this production, where you hear a character who needs to utter something that isn't supposed to be heard by another character, so you kind of place it off to the side through panning and such. to make it as obvious as you can. That it's just a conversation between two people, and the third person present isn't supposed to hear them, which again is a tough thing to do in audio, but with a little experimentation, you can get it done.
Yeah, it's always important to do it. I think the rule is no more than 60% panning over to the right or left.
Yep, agreed.
But that'll do it. It gives just enough differentiation for the listener to understand.
Here she goes.
So here is Emmeline Tuck singing a solo, just did a brilliant job. And Morgan, I wanted to come to you to ask, this particular song is not in the actual script of Pericles. It literally just says something like "she sings" and that's it. How did you come up with this melody and these lyrics to go along with it? Very, very well done.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, the melody, luckily it falls in the what am I trying to say here? The meter of the song is just a basic Old English ballad. So they are a kind of universal way that one set of ballad lyrics can fit any of the ballad tunes. So just trying to find the tune that matched it was just it's an old ballad called Oak and Ash and Thorn. And I just listened to every possible ballad and sang the tunes to myself, trying to figure out which one will fit this. And the lyrics are from, again, the novelization by George Wilkins that he wrote of Shakespeare's play at the time.
Ah, okay.
She's really good.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Totally nailed this. And one thing in the editing that I tried to do is at first I had all the ambient sound kind of fade away as she starts singing, but then slowly bring it back in a little bit as her music goes on.
Yeah, Shakespeare kind of left us hanging there with "She Sings," a song that has to completely stop the show and change everything.
Right, exactly.
Somebody else figure it out. Thanks, Will. Yes.
Yeah, it makes me curious all the various stage productions of Pericles that have taken place. How different directors have approached that. Because
I watched as many as I could, and some of them I have no idea where they got what they had or where they were going with it.
Oh, interesting.
I try to give mine as much provenance back to Shakespeare and George as I can, and again, just luckily it fits the old ballad format.
Mm-hmm.
Whispers in mine ear. Go not till he speak.
My fortunes.
So this, by far, exchange between Pericles and Marina was my favorite part of the episode to direct. This back and forth that continues on for a while, kind of starting off with this ominous music as Pericles is slowly awakened, but remains sort of clueless as to who Marina is, and bit by bit, very, very slowly, starts to pick up on who she is. So getting the right music through this scene and striking the right notes with that was tons of fun.
My dearest wife.
Choosing the music is always the greatest challenge, I think, to really capture that atmosphere.
Square brows, her stature to an inch is wand like straight.
But you read the play and you're thinking, come on, seriously, you got to figure this out. You don't know your own kid.
And the scene could really come off almost farcical if it wasn't for such fine performances from our leads here.
Yes.
Because it's so much like, oh, I lost a baby, I lost a dad, I lost a wife, I lost a mom. Wait a minute.
It's like, come on, can you guys not figure this out already?
If I should tell my history, it would seem like lies.
I left my child. My dad left me. Wait.
Yeah, again, just one of those things where it's so amazing to think of these actors recording their lines totally separately from each other, and yet it feels like they're in the exact same space, exact same time when it all comes together.
I feel like the moral of the story of this play is do not travel by boat. Only
Solid
bad
advice.
things will happen.
Solid advice.
Now, do they give a lot of different takes for you to figure out which ones mesh the best, or is it just alchemy that this happens?
Some people will give anywhere from 3 to 5 takes.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we'll get maybe 1 or 2. That's been my experience. And then sometimes you have to wade through the takes to make sure that they're usable. Sometimes there are mouth pops and other things that just render some of them completely useless. So it sometimes it is kind of alchemy, but actors tend to learn to start really mild and then to ramp up the emotion with each take, so that you kind of have a scale to work with.
Oh, I am mocked, and thou by some
This is one of my favorite lines of the whole episode, where he just loses it. He's like, "You are mocking me. Like this is some BS here. Like I don't believe it." And Russell, just the emotion in his voice, with "I am mocked," just totally struck the perfect tone for me. And then I found this, just crazy, like this music to back it up, where the drum beat literally is on the exact words as he says, "I am mocked." And I was like, this is a awesome coincidence. And then this music here, I tried to strike a more creepy vibe, because he's like, he doesn't believe yet that she's his daughter. He's just kind of like really weirded out and saying this is a really creepy coincidence here.
For I was born at sea.
At sea? What mother?
My mother was the daughter of a king who died the minute I was born, as my good nurse Lycorida hath oft delivered weeping.
Oh, stop there a little. This is the rarest
Another aside here as he's like, what the hell is going on? Talking to himself.
Cannot be. My daughter's buried.
I think a great twist would be if they found out all these things and she turned out to still be a different Marina.
Exactly.
No, I'm Marina from the east side, not the west side.
I did go.
I will believe you by the syllable of what you shall deliver. Yet give me leave. How came you in these parts? Where were you bred?
The king my father did in Tarsus leave me, till cruel Cleon with his wicked wife did seek to murder me.
Cleon. I think there's like 5 references in this episode to cruel Cleon. What a bastard.
Came and rescued me.
What's the thing? He didn't really do anything. It was his wife.
Exactly.
Whither will you
Yeah,
go?
Macbeth, Lady Macbeth. Shakespeare's
Why
done
do you
that one.
weep?
There we go. Yep. Dionysa may be the true villain, but Cleon gets the
Good
blame.
faith, I am the daughter to King Pericles. If good King Pericles be.
Oh, Helicanus!
Calls my lord?
No!
So it's hard not to get enthralled by the show again, even though I've already listened to it 4 times and I adapted it. But they did such a great job.
I know not.
Yeah,
but
Russell
where
is,
the regent, sir, of what
again,
speaks
Russell
so
and Emmeline both just amazing job in this scene. And one of the challenges as an actor, as a voice actor in a scene like this where there's so much emotion and you're so loud, is that it's hard to record lines like that without clipping, without basically going so loud that it sort of blows out the sound. So it's particularly challenging. Yeah, Adam, you know this challenge well. When recording lines where you're screaming and shouting, of doing it in such a way that it doesn't basically ruin the audio. Very
Exactly.
very tricky.
Rule of thumb is turn your audio down to 20%, step back, and then have at it.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, that's the ideal approach.
I played a character in a podcast who just had to be absolutely screaming and raged, and so I dialed down my audio to 20%, my sensitivity, and I stepped back 6 feet and just went all out. Scared the hell out of the dog, but I got the take I wanted, and it sounded perfectly reasonable.
Is it no more
Yeah.
to be your daughter
I
than
always
see
get
my
nervous
mother's
when
name
recording
face?
screaming lines myself. I'm like, can the
mother
neighbors
did
hear
into the
me? Are they
midst
going to call the cops?
I've had a friend had that happen. Like they
Oh,
called the
wow.
cops on her because she was
Yikes.
screaming, and yep.
Oh.
Nobody's done it with me. Apparently, nobody cares what happens to me. But
I can just hear the neighbors. He was screaming about getting to a nunnery. I don't know what to do.
he was screaming obscenities, but he does that on a normal day. So
Tis the governor of my
And
town,
par for the
in payment
course.
of your melancholy state, did come to see you.
I embrace you. Give me my robes. I am wild.
And of course, the only way that we can really wrap up a plot like this is to literally have God show up and explain
Yes.
everything.
Yes, the heavenly music creeping in here. Experimented with a few different heavenly music type vibes going on, but
My lord,
this is a fun moment. Only he can hear the music, and everybody else thinks he's just freaking nuts.
List, Margarita.
It is good not to cross him. Give him
Yeah, I
way.
like that line there. It's good not to cross him. This dude is probably,
Lord,
psycho.
are ye here?
Most
But
heavenly music.
we the audience can hear it and he can hear it. So really, isn't Lysimachus wrong?
Slumber
Exactly,
gaze
yep.
upon my eyes. Let me rest.
A pillow for his head. So
So the expression we know, what is it,
well,
ex machina, Deus ex machina, that God shows up and solves everything. This is it. This is why we have that expression.
Oh, very nice.
Diana?
E. Rachel Ward here as the goddess Diana. A great example of a relatively small role, but a huge impact. In this episode. One of the most memorable parts here, and she totally nailed it with her goddess-like voice here.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine? I mean, you can say, I played God. I peaked early, but I played God.
And E. Rachel Ward, she's a pendant regular. So it's almost like a movie star having the cameo. Like, it's
Oh, I know her.
yeah.
Celestial Diane, goddess Argentine.
She's only charging $50 for her autograph.
Morgan, I loved your note in the script, by the way, about the term goddess Argentine. Argentine meaning silver, not Argentinian. Do not cry for her.
I put that there because I genuinely didn't know what it meant. Had to bust out the old dictionary.
It was a good note. I'm like, Argentine? Like, what? Why are we bringing
Well, yeah,
Argentina?
Yeah, argent is silver. Now that I think about it, I didn't think about it at the time. I wasn't smart enough to do that, but now it clicks.
Lend me your arm.
Come, my Marina.
And the final transition of the play as Gower comes in and takes us over to Ephesus. Honestly, I do not know which one is the correct pronunciation. We got a bit of both from our cast, but
We had like 26 different pronunciations.
probably.
I know the name Thasia gave everybody conniptions. That was
Yes.
And you know what? There was no consistency between how major Shakespeare companies have pronounced it. I just went with Thasia because that's how the Royal Shakespeare Company said it, and it sounded right to me.
Yeah, it works. Yeah, no, a couple had to go back and ask a couple actors for retakes and such throughout the production, but all worked out well, and our cast was all too generous with their time and happy to do that when necessary.
Yeah, that's one thing about voice acting is to remember that retakes are a part of life.
It is.
It's no big deal. I've done all kinds of retakes for any number of reasons. So it doesn't mean you're a terrible actor or anything. It just means that you didn't give them what they want.
Exactly.
In fact, you might have been too good.
No, that's usually not the problem. It's usually, hey, listen, there was background noise, or you mispronounced this, or I didn't like the emotional context of this. So yeah, it could be any number of things, but it's just part and parcel of the job.
She made known herself my daughter.
Voice and favor. You are. Oh, Royal Pericles. Oh.
I loved Thasia's like just
I
the
mean,
way
even if
she
you didn't
said
put the
it.
sound effect of her falling, you know she just fainted.
Exactly.
This is your wife.
I got to give Thasia credit. I mean, she gave us plenty of takes to work with for each set of lines.
Mm-hmm.
There was
Murray.
always a range, and
Yep.
so it was great to be able to pick what we needed.
Yep. Yeah, Kendra did a great job. Pendant favorite Dave Morgan as Saruman here. His final scene.
Look, Thaisa is recovered.
Oh, let me look. If he be none of mine, my sanctity will to my sense bend no licentious ear, but curb it spite of seeing.
Licentious.
Oh, my lord.
That's the kind of word that if I'm reading it on my Kindle, I have to press it to see what it means.
Did you not name a tempest, a birth and death?
The voice of dead Thasia.
That is one of those words you might have to say 2 or 3 times if you're reciting it in a line.
Yeah.
There's always a line that is the bane of a voice actor's existence. Like for me, saying gasped or rural, or recently
yes.
I've learned that cultists is saying stuff like that can be the bane of your absolute existence, trying to say it in a sentence.
Oh, 100%. It's like the combination of certain consonants is tough. And when like one word ends in S and then the very next word that comes after it begins with S, that's also the worst too. I can't stand it.
Yep. And imagine doing that with a character voice.
Yep, exactly. Makes it all the more tough.
She was yielded there.
Blessed and mine own.
Hail, madam, and my queen.
I know you not.
I like that line. I know you not. Who's this random dude? Who's this rando? I'm trying to have a special moment with my husband and daughter here.
So moral of the story for Pericles is don't travel by sea and always carry your ID with you.
This whole final act has so much, for lack of a better word, reverse exposition, where they have to constantly remind each other what's happened in the previous acts.
Yeah.
Because so much has happened in this play.
Reference, sir.
It would be great to do a parody of this where they just hand each other the script and be like, "Listen, look at the previous act."
It's perhaps just because it's it's a couple thousand lines shorter than most of his other comedies. It just feels so frantic that everything is happening.
Bless thee for thy vision. I will offer night oblations to thee. Phaeacia, this prince Lysimachus the fair.
Oblation means prayer. Had to look that one up. Night oblation sounded suggestive, maybe, but no, it's a pretty prayer.
I had that same thought.
No razor touch to grace thy marriage day I'll beautify.
Lord Cerimon hath letters of good credit, sir. My father's dead.
Heavens make a star of him. Yet there my
And
queen
in
will
sneaks
celebrate
the
thy
closing
nuptials.
music.
Ourselves will in that
It's always one of my
kingdom
favorite
spend our fond days.
favorite parts to
Our
edit.
son and daughter shall
The
entire
closing
reign.
dramatic music as it
Sometime we
swells
will
bit by
our
bit,
Lord stay to hear the
signaling
rest
that
of the
we
sir,
are near the end.
lead us the way.
In Antiochus and
And Gower takes the stage one last time as everybody hugs behind him.
The audience is roaring, demanding a standing ovation.
Babies are getting thrown in the air. Women are crying. Men are fainting. It's a beautiful ending.
Cats and dogs living together in mass hysteria.
Crowned with joy at last. In Helicanus may you well descry a figure of truth, of faith, of loyalty.
Not to pat ourselves on the back too hard, but this all comes together wonderfully here at the end. It's a great performance by everybody. Builds up. Great show.
When fame had spread their cursed deed and honored name of Pericles, to rage the city turned.
Yeah, again, I just have to give props to Theo Holt Bailey as Gower with these lengthy monologues throughout the production, particularly like the beginning and end of each episode, and just delivering 5 or 6 takes for every single monologue. A tremendous amount of work, and he just absolutely nails it. We all agree.
Yep.
And here comes Adam to let us know we have wrapped up Pericles. Thank you to everybody who has joined us along for the ride. Adam, wonderful job working with you as co-director.
Pleasure working with you as well.
Thank you so much, Morgan. Couldn't have done it without your awesome adaptation.
Gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Likewise.
Love the flair you added to the script. With the singing and all the sound effects notes that cannot be found in the original Shakespearean text.
Shakespeare was too lazy.
Exactly. Yeah.
I hope everybody out there in the podcast land, join us for Double Falsehood. This should be our next play.
Excellent.
Right. Great news.
Never even heard of that one.
It's kind of new.
Wait a minute. Shakespeare wrote a new one?
Well, in recent decades, a play of questionable authorhood has more or less been accepted to be Shakespeare's. And if you buy a new copy of the complete works of William Shakespeare, it'll probably be included.
Huh.
So it's academically interesting.
Wow.
All right. And that is as news to us as it is to you, our listener. So with that, we will wrap it up and very much looking forward to it. Thanks,
Godspeed.
guys.